Right, shall we move on? Let's talk about another one of the matches. Manchester United take on Norwich. Man United looking to bounce back after that horrible defeat against Everton last week. Let's hear from Ralph Rangnick and Dean Smith.
I'm pretty positive that we will show a reaction tomorrow. This has to happen. We have to show that we owe that to ourselves. We owe that to our supporters. We owe that to the whole club. And as I said, it is definitely a test of character, but we have to be aware that if we invest enough energy into that game with regard to total distance, sprints, fast runs, if we are tactically prepared for that game, which we will do, as we always do that, we will give them the best possible game plan. We will try to, with regard to formation and lineup, to start with the best possible team. And then it's up to the players to show on the pitch that they still are ambitious and that they want to finish that season on the highest and best possible note.
I'm a realist, and I also know how difficult it's going to be. You know, there's no give-me's in the Premier League, as we all know. You know, we're travelling to Old Trafford next, the Theatre of Dreams, and what a tough place to go. You know, but we've got that renewed confidence from, you know, what 4 points in the last two games brings you. And, you know, they lost their last game against Everton as well. And we've analysed Manchester United's last 3 or 4 games, as we always do. But you can't get away from the very good footballers as well. And if they weren't, they wouldn't be at Manchester United. So, you know, we're looking forward to the game. As I say, we've got that renewed confidence. And, you know, let's try and climb that mountain and see if we can do what people have already said is not doable, I would say.
Well, after losing to Everton last weekend, it seemed to heighten the discussions around who the next permanent manager at Manchester United would be. So let's get to our journalist in the studio and find out what the latest on that is. Erik ten Hag seems to be the front runner. There's been a lot of discussions this week about him being appointed. Yeah. When do we expect that news to be actually official?
Well, I actually got the Dutch Cup final on Sunday. They play PSV Eindhoven, who they're also vying with for the league. So it's quite a sensitive period of time in the season for them. And actually, they've banned English journalists from attending their press conferences. Yeah, they don't want anyone asking questions about the future of their coach. So all English journalists are banned, which is quite an extreme move to take. But I understand this.
So it's happening then, definitely.
Well, absolutely.
Basically.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be doing that for no reason, would you? No. So I think it should be announced next week. I think they need to make an announcement sooner rather than later. As far as I'm aware, I was told last week by somebody close to Ten Hag it was 99% done. So which means that basically I think it's a signature away from happening. So it'll be a 3-year contract with a 12-month extension onto that, and he'll be bringing in his backroom staff as well to sort of, you know, obviously try and sort things out. Manchester United, they've got a massive job on his hands. I think, to be fair to him, there was some stories around saying he wanted full control of transfers. He's never asked for full control. What he's asked for is an input, you know, and he will get that. But I think that's what he's been talking to them about in quite a lot of detail in the last 2 weeks is really the makeup of the squad, who's going and who's coming. So I think he's getting into quite detailed discussions about that. I think he's expecting quite a big summer there in terms of changes. I think he's expecting quite a few players to move on, quite a few players to be bought. I think Manchester United have a lot of business to do. So I think we're at that level now with him. So I think he will be the next Manchester United manager, and good luck to him, because I think he's got a heck of a job in his hands. I don't want to prejudge him, but I think there is a risk involved, because he has never worked in that sort of structure before. He's come through a system at, obviously, at Ajax, very, very clear how the structure of the club is there. Even before that at Bayern Munich, where he was the coach of the second team, and obviously at Go Ahead Eagles. He's in a very clear structure of where he's worked before. Manchester United, it's a leap into the unknown to a extent, and then the profile, massively. I mean, Ajax is a big club in European football, but it's nowhere near the level of Manchester United in terms of the media profile, in terms of everything else. So it is a risk involved, you know, and he's going to take it. But to answer your question, it will be Erik ten Hag.
Okay. As you mentioned as well, it is a big job, Jason. How much time does he need, and will he get the patience from the fans?
He needs a lot of time. Yeah, there needs to be a big turnaround. He needs to see what the footprint is of the football club. Like we were saying there about what he works with beforehand, the structures. Recruitment's massive. He needs time. He needs time. He needs to get a few players out. I mean, there's a lot of scope on Ronaldo, I mean, he's come under some stickers this season. United's top goal scorer. Is he a luxury player that he needs? Does he feel like he can work with them? He's a big admirer of bringing in the connection with the youth team as well. That seemed to be separated. One thing I would say with Manchester United is you've got to have a certain bit of ilk to be associated with United in terms of management-wise or player-wise. When you're a player, wearing a Man United shirt is so heavy. Wearing that shirt. It's the same as a manager as well. There needs to be a certain personality, a certain character, and only a few can carry that off.
Do you think for him, I'm just listening in here, do you think coming in now where there's so many, Pogba's, all of these players out of contract, Lingard, etc., players left on 1-year contracts, could it be a good time for him to come in where they're just completely getting out all the old, which is what they need to do, and then, as you say, coming in with his own philosophy, own ideas, having a little bit of say in the transfer window and bringing in his own, identity of players? Maybe, what I'm saying, previous managers have gone in there with players that they probably don't want there but can't get them out, can't offload them, and he's coming in at a time where he's in a better position to offload the players that have probably outgrown Man United now in terms of...
if you look at that squad, you've got players in it from, I think it's 5 different managers, basically.
Yes.
So you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a whole, it's like a hybrid, basically, all these different players bought by different managers. It needs absolutely that sort of focusing in on what do we want to be, who are the players here we see as our future. Manchester United have never done that really, because they've chased every different type of thing. Obviously, with David Moyes, they wanted a Fergie clone. Louis van Gaal, they wanted a big personality. Jose Mourinho, they just wanted to win. Yeah. Basically, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they tried to go back to the future. And now obviously Eric Ten Hag, hopefully somebody there who can sort things out. The problem is he's never done that before. He's never ever done that before. And what I worry for Manchester United is they've looked at Pep Guardiola and they looked at Jurgen Klopp and thought, who's a hot young manager? 53-year-old, by the way. Who's a hot young manager in European football who can be that for us? That isn't Eric Ten Hag. I don't think, personality-wise, it might be in terms of coaching, so good luck to them all, but I worry for them that they want a manager to sort them out, and that's not what Eric Ten Hag is, basically. But he can succeed if they give him the right support around him, and that's the question mark I've got. Have they got the people around him to protect him as much as anything else? Because the media spotlight alone is going to be massive.
Yeah, and it will... I suppose it will be a bit of a relief when it is announced, because this has been rumbling on for so long, Steve, and the players need to focus on the job they have in hand now. They obviously can't win any trophies this year, but they still have the potential to finish in the top 4. Can they do it, starting off with this game against Norwich?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think they'll get top 4.
Is it still a success to play in the Europa League next season for Manchester United?
No, not for Manchester United. No, not at all. Not at all. This, like I said there, it throws a lot of weight, this badge, and the players have underperformed. Yes, there's been injuries and lack of form and non-consistency, but it's just too much for them. And I think now the players have got to realise what they're playing for this remainder is for their own careers for the next season. Do they want to be there? Do they want to play? Do they want to be involved in this project? It's going to take 2-3 seasons, because as long as Klopp's in charge and as long as Pep's in charge, Man United are never going to win the league.
Would they almost suit them a bit better to not play European football at all next year, Farah, and actually focus on the league, perhaps?
Potentially. I mean, it will give them more time. They won't have the midweek, the back-to-back games. So potentially give the manager more time. I just think, as you mentioned, I think it's going to take them a good few years to get back anywhere near where, Man United expect them to be right now. I think they've fallen so far off of it that it's going to take a building process and getting the right people in and staying consistent with that. You can't just keep chopping and changing because you're Manchester United and you want the best in. Ollie was there, he probably overstayed his time there. And in doing that, he's kept, old baggage and players that, shouldn't have been there as long as they have been. So I think he needs time. I think, and the United fans need to be patient with that. If they really want to see their club back to where they were under Fergie, it's going to take time. It didn't, Fergie didn't just come in and change everything at United and was successful straight away. So it's going to take time.
Yeah, well, looking at Norwich, Manchester United will expect that they can win this game, but Norwich surprised everyone last week, of course, beating Burnley. They've given themselves an outside chance. Because you don't sit on the fence, Steve, can they survive?
No. No, I've covered Norwich a few times this season, and they deserve to go down. Look, they give it a go in the summer in terms of what they spent. Recruitment's been poor. The loan system's not really worked for them with Gilmore. So they've just fallen short, which they've done in many seasons, and that's their model. That's the way that they go about. They've tried to spend this year and get away with it, and they've just fallen short again.
OK, right, we're going to take another break now. When we return, 2 more Premier League matches to look ahead to, including Watford taking on Brentford, and Newcastle also face Leicester. We'll focus on both of those matches after the break.